Hello guys! Welcome back to another video where we look at an upcoming product, decide whether it's worth buying, and then see how it's going to affect the meta and the market. So today, very exciting, we have Starter Deck 22, it's Ace and Newgate as a leader card together. I think a lot of people are very excited and news has been popping out here and there, but this week, almost all of the cards that are inside this starter deck are out. So we're going to dive in to see whether this starter deck is any good and whether you should buy it. Let's go! Okay, so let's look at the leader card. Art-wise, Ace and Whitebeard look amazing. I don't think you can go wrong with these two. Just that the alternate art card, internet says that it's going to be black and white, right? And I don't think it's going to be nicer than your ST-21 or your ST-13 Three Brothers leader card. So I don't think the value is going to be super amazing. Just that if you are a collector, you like Whitebeard, you love Ace, I think you want to collect it. Of course, what's going to affect the value of the card will be whether this leader is actually good. So let's have a look. Okay, if you just look at the leader card, right, the effect is not super special. I think what you want to do is to have a lot of Whitebeard cards in your deck. What you can do is you can trade one Whitebeard card from your hand with one card from the deck. So you put one Whitebeard card onto the deck, and then you get to draw one card. Of course, this synergizes well with other parts of the deck. So some of the other cards that I'll show later, you need to reveal a Whitebeard card for its effect to work. Being able to play something on the top of your deck and drawing is usually very helpful. But overall, your hand size is not going to grow. So resource-wise, this is not one of your best decks. If I just look at this leader card, I'm not very sure if it's going to be top tier. Right now, I think it's mediocre, but I'll talk a little bit more as we look at the character cards. Okay, so we head down to the character cards and we'll start with Izzo. It's a super rare searcher. As a searcher, it's very normal, but I think what makes it a super rare card, so usually searcher is rare, right? But for this card, it's super rare because of the additional effect. What it does is that when your opponent attacks, you can trash this card, draw one and put one card at the bottom of your deck. Resource-wise, it doesn't change, but it gives you more control of what hand you start the game with, or if it lasts for the later part of the game, it can make some crucial differences to the outcome of the game. But overall, I don't think it's spectacular. Normally for starter deck, I think it's very hard to predict how many of these cards you will have, but typically super rare, you have 2 of them. So I think you might need to buy 2 starter deck to get all 4 searcher cards. If you want to play a Whitebeard deck, you probably need 4 searcher cards, so that might be how it's going to go for ST-22. So we'll go down the cost list for the characters. I'm going to skip some of the vanilla cards, and this is all the cards that we'll have for ST-22 according to the internet. So maybe they are missing something, but for now, this is what we're expecting. All the vanilla and that one blocker that we have, I'm not going to talk about them because I don't think it's very interesting. But we'll go down the list according to the cost for the rest of the characters. So now we have Squad. I don't think anybody likes this guy. I do not like this guy. And the effect is a bit mediocre. So with the leader effect, you get to know what's the top card of your deck. Or rather, you can decide what's the top card of your deck, right? With this effect, you can actually easily put one vested Dawn to your leader or your characters, but it's just one Dawn. I don't think it's going to make a big difference, and I don't think you want to play this deck like your ST-21 Luffy, so it's a bit confusing for me why you have this effect. Maybe someone will figure it out, but I think this card is more or less useless. Next up, a more interesting card, we have YT Bay here with 2k counter at 1 cost. So 2k counter is already very good, right? You want to have 4 of it in your deck usually, but the effect is also pretty good. If you have 2 Whitebeard cards in your hand, you reveal them, you get to add 2k to your leader. So that gives your leader 7k attack. Pretty good. Only for this turn though, so defensively it doesn't work. But together with one of the event cards in this starter deck, later we'll talk about it, or if you play blue, yellow, ace, right, you do something about it so you get that plus 2k for your leader. I think pushing your leader card to 9k attack is not too difficult with the inclusion of this character. So overall, I think this card is a lot better than the other 2 cards that we have discussed previously, and definitely try to have 4 of it in your deck. Next, we have Marco, another fan favorite. So this card, nothing special here. 4 cost, 5k attack with a 1k counter. So because of its when attacking effect and this leader's effect, most of the time you can imagine it to be at a 6k attack. If you want to protect it from effect KO, you can by trashing one card from your hand. My problem with this leader card is that your hand size doesn't increase, right? You draw one card, but you have to put one card at the top of your deck. So I don't know if you have the resources to protect Marco from KO effects. However, if you play blue yellow ace instead, so you kind of see a pattern here, right? I keep talking about blue yellow ace. Okay, blue yellow ace, you get to look at the 5 cards of your deck and put one at your life pile. And because it's an additional card at your life pile, usually you get to have some methods to draw that life card back into your hand. So in that way, your hand size can have some increase. So I'm thinking maybe this card might work a little bit better with blue yellow ace, but overall this is still not a fantastic card. You don't need to bend your back backwards to do all these things. So if you can make it happen, make it happen. If not, I don't think this is a must-have for the deck. Moving on to the higher cost cards, we have 7 cost, 8k attack, 1k counter Jozu here. Already a big card with 1k counter is usually pretty good, but I think what makes this more important to me is because the leader card doesn't allow you to increase your hand size, but this improves the situation a little bit. You get to draw 2 and discard 1. So with more cards in your hand, your Marco effect, other things that you want to do with this deck becomes easier to do. Just that I don't think it's spectacular enough for me to say that this card is broken or really really good. It just improves the situation a little bit. Doesn't make this leader card suddenly a very in-meta leader card. If you could tell, I wasn't really excited about Jozu. I think it was good, but this Whitebeard card is better. So 9 cost with 10k attack, and it has a superior effect. On one hand, it has double attack. Double attack already is very good, right, with a 10k attack card. But the second part of the effect, if your card at the top of your deck is a Whitebeard card, you get to draw 2 cards and you keep both of them. So this card really gives you a lot of resources and it's also very offensive. Sure, it doesn't have that 1k counter, but overall, it's pretty good. I don't think it breaks the leader. It doesn't make the leader ultra good, but it makes leader kind of decent. The scary part about this card is that, what if you play this with blue purple Luffy? If you play this with blue purple Luffy and for some reason you have other Whitebeard cards in your deck, I think this card will go bananas. Some people think that one of the weaknesses of blue purple Luffy is that most of its characters are in that 8-9k range, but we have a 10k here with double attack. Already blue purple Luffy is very offensive. I don't know how it's going to work with this card. So if you look at it, right, this card might not make the starter deck 22 a broken leader, but it makes starter deck 22, in my opinion, quite desirable for players. So really check this card out. I think if it's a common card that you have 4 pieces in your starter deck, even if you don't want to play Whitebeard, right, I think it's something that you might want to purchase either ways. So I said that I'll be going down the character list according to the cost, but I skipped 7 cost Oden on purpose because this is the absolute best character card in the whole set. It's quite insane. So it has 2 effects. One effect is that it can prevent itself from being removed from play. Not KO here, but removed from play by discarding 2 cards. And as of now, it doesn't say that it can only do it once. So I imagine that this guy can protect itself from being removed from play multiple times in the same turn. We have to look at the rulebook. Maybe Bandai will decide that that's too insane and they'll do something about it. But as of now, this sounds pretty good to me. And the reason why this is so good, even though it's so costly, is its second effect. So on your next turn after you play, when you want to attack, if you just rest 3 Dons on your 10 Don turn, this guy can attack twice. I think that is an offensive powerhouse that you have to have in your deck. And again, right, we are going to think about this with blue purple Luffy. So it's 7 cost, you can use it with Sanji. It's 8k attack and he has all these effects. Okay, right now as you try out blue purple Luffy, one of the counters to this deck has been removing its character by reducing its power, reducing its cost. But this card protects against it. So I think this will make blue purple Luffy insane. I don't see how it's going to be super good for your Ace and Whitebeard leader card because 2 cards from your hand is very costly. This Whitebeard leader card doesn't draw a lot of cards. But you know who draws a lot of cards? You got it right, it's blue purple Luffy. So I think this card is like made for blue purple Luffy, and already blue purple Luffy is pretty tier 0, right? I'm pretty sure someone is going to experiment with this card. So again, it's a super rare card. You're probably only going to get 2 of it in your starter deck. You probably do want to buy 2 starter deck just for this card. This card is ridiculous. Really, really ridiculous. Okay, enough talking about blue purple Luffy. We are here to talk about ST-22. So Whitebeard Pirates. Okay, so the best character card is Oden. The best event card is Oreya Shirohige. I think this is the I'm Whitebeard card. The moment where he said it during the Marineford War. Super emotional. So I love this event card because on one hand, it allows you to play one Edward Newgate card from hand. So 9 cost Edward Newgate, 10 cost Edward Newgate, not a problem. You get to save some of your Dawn cards. But what makes it better is you get to add one life card into your hand. If you do so, you get to plus 2k power for your leader until the end of your opponent's next turn. So offensively, it does its job. Defensively, it also does its job. If you remember Whitebeard, it allows your leader card to be 9k attack for that turn. Of course, for Whitebeard, the effect ends on your turn. But I think overall it's still very good because 8 costs here, 1 cost of Whitebeard. If you want to do a counter, keep 1 Dawn for a counter, you can still do so. Overall, I think it's pretty decent. Okay, but what makes this card really good is this. I think we need to think about this really about Blue Yellow Ace. It makes a lot more sense of Blue Yellow Ace. What Blue Yellow Ace does is that it adds 1 card from your deck to your life. And with this event card, you don't actually take any damage. You draw 1 extra card that you want. You get to choose, right? 5 card. And then you add it to your life pile. So with this event card, I think it's more suitable for Blue Yellow Ace. And then with your 10 cost Avenue Gate, your current 9 cost Avenue Gate, I think the 9 cost Avenue Gate is not the best because the draw 2 card, you cannot control it as much. But I think you can structure your Blue Yellow Ace deck so that most of the cards are Whitebeard anyway. So with this, you actually get a super defensive or super offensive turn. With the 9 cost Whitebeard, the following turn you get a double attack. You might have the chance to draw 2 cards. With the 10 cost Edward Newgate card, the Whitebeard card, what happens is that your opponent can only attack if it discards 2 cards. So I think that turn basically your opponent will not be able to touch you and you set up for a turn where you have so many offensive powerhouse on your field. Very strong event card, specifically for the Whitebeard Pirates decks. Blue Yellow Ace has a chance to shine. I don't think it's going to be like tier 0. I'm not even sure it's going to break tier 1, but I think it will have some results and the fans will come into play Blue Yellow Ace. Okay, the remaining 2 event cards are not particularly exciting. I think we have this 5 cost card, and of course it has a trigger effect, but if you ask me, Red Rock is better. It's just that Red Rock is not a Whitebeard pirate card. Cost of 5 or lower is not super good. Of course you get to draw a card, but I don't know if this is one of those cards that you want to have a lot in your deck. We can play around with it, but it doesn't make Starter Deck 22 particularly worth buying. Your next card is a good counter card, so plus 4k attack is actually pretty good. Most counter cards these days, of course like Gungam Giant and maybe your Frankie Laser Beam, it can do 4k counter, but this will be, I think, media to upper tier for event counter cards. And it has a trigger to draw 1 card. Overall, I think pretty decent card. You might want to have a couple of it in your deck. Okay, so we have gone through all of the cards, and what is the verdict? Should you buy it? What cards to invest in? I think this leader card is not really good. I think it's only tier 2, maybe tier 3 for leader card. It wants to draw cards, it wants to have a good control over its hand, but I don't think it does a very good job. I think like Uso, Rebecca is way better. Maybe you argue that Whitebeard Pirates card are better for the blue deck, but honestly, Dressrosa is pretty strong, so I don't see why anyone will want to play this leader card if they are interested in a draw deck. On the other hand, I think this product is absolutely worth buying. So your character cards, your 8 cost event card, super good. I think for Blue Purple Luffy, you will be energized by this starter deck. Okay. For me, I'm more excited about your Blue Yellow Ace leader card. I think the event card, what you need to do to draw to create a better deck, your Blue Yellow Ace card just seems to do a better job. And I think for the longest time, Ace has not seen much action, even though it has a large fan base. So I'm hoping that this starter deck actually pushes your BY Ace card to maybe tier 2, hopefully maybe even tier 1, so we can see more of it in competitions. And I also think that there are a lot of 5 cost Ace card out there right now. Even for this starter deck, there's a 5 cost vanilla Ace card. So with the kit deck plus 2k, and then you get your Whitebeard, you get your 8 cost event card, right, the defensive ability of your BY Ace deck can be really, really strong. So very exciting product, not so exciting leader. I think if my predictions are right and BY Ace becomes very good, it's time to start collecting cards related to that deck. I think we have a couple of 5 cost Ace out there. You might want to be collecting that 10 cost Avenue Gate that up until now wasn't really playable, but with the event card, I think it can become good. So all these cards, my prediction is that the price will rise, especially the super rare 10 cost Avenue Gate card. So collect it while it's still cheap, I think, right now. When the starter deck comes out and people start to realize that, hey, blue yellow Ace might be good, I think the cost will start to increase. So that's all I have for you today. That's my prediction for starter deck 22, and we'll see you guys again when more information about the rest of the 6 colored starter decks are out. Bye!